Diablo 4 Season 4 Week 3. MTG Arena Brawl Hell Queue exists. And some more Modern Horizon 3 things. But as we always do, first things first. My name is Dom Douglas, and I am back-to-back XWW Commentator of the Year. With that comes some responsibilities, but also a lot of fun and excitement, and I'm never ashamed to look like a complete fool. Speaking of that, I love playing Magic the Gathering, so much so that I kind of think I play it a little bit too much, and I have some opinions. So now, XtremeTVOnline.com and XWW Wrestling on YouTube presents my podcast where I talk about Magic the Gathering. It's the Goblin Grenade Podcast. So, we have a few things to talk about today on today's podcast. Once again, if you don't know who I am, as the intro said, my name's Dom Douglas, and we're going to talk a little bit about Diablo 4 Season 4 Week 3. I'm enjoying it so far. I actually got an alt Barbarian Whirlwind. I'm just hit level 87, and I've discovered in this season, leveling up to level 80 is really fast. Once you hit level 85, it goes from gaining a level. It's a raw example, unconfounded, but this is just the example I'm giving. It's you're gaining a level, going from gaining a level every 15 minutes to gaining a level every 30 minutes. And it may not seem like much, but once you've been blamming levels left and right, and then all of a sudden you kind of get into that weird crawl phase. But it's not a crawl phase, trust me. I've been playing Diablo 4 since day one, and the leveling process is infinitely faster than it has been. And yes, I did level a few characters to a level 100 the old 1.0 way, if you will. That being said, I'm having an absolute blast. I think I might be playing a little bit too much, but I'm just going to, take it as it is and play a little bit more. Might roll a sorcerer or a druid. I don't know about rogue yet. I might roll all 5 at this point, because I already have my necro to 100. I have my barbarian at level 87, and I've definitely got tips and tricks and whatnot for right now. There's a quest item that you can make, anti-venom, potion of anti-venom, and you can have 2 potions now, and an elixir, not an elixir, you have your potions, your incense. You can have 2 potions now in an incense. And if you're in Helltide, you can have the mind thing too that makes everything 10 levels higher than you. So you can gain XP fast. I was just grinding glyphs, and the glyph grind is okay. It is okay. So that's it, basically, week 3 of Diablo Season 4. I'm preparing also for my trip to New Jersey in a couple weeks, so there's that. I will be having backup and pre-made episodes, if you will, dropping during that time when I'm on vacation. Speaking of which, one of them right now is a video about these where I'm making a commander deck and going through the steps that I do when I make commander decks. So that's a stack of cards right now and almost no lands in there, and I still got to go through more. So, I'm going to switch camera angles real quick and see what happens. I think I'm just actually going to go to screen cap. So, it started, innocently enough, with this. My deck got banned in Brawl for being too weak. This is on Reddit. I copied one Brawl deck from this post, and we'll go to this post right now. Every day is Momir. I'm going to flash the cards up right now and show you basically the deck as well. It's a Rawlisk Prime Specimen, which is an alchemy card, 1 copy of Treasure Hunt, 1 copy of Splendid Reclamation, 48 islands, 48 forests, and a branch of Vitu-Ghazi. Basically, anytime you discard a land and whatnot, Rolex just kind of casts something for free. It's like everyday Momir. So a person wanted to play it, and it got banned for being too weak. And this is what I mean. They copied it. Here's the deck list. And then they played it a few times. And then today when they try to play it, they got this error message. Invalid deck. Deck validation failed. So they checked the game log and saw the following error. Server code error, deck format, or ownership validation error. Message event state dot set deck validation failed. Format historic brawl. Error type deck weight too low. That's the key right there. The error type deck weight too low. So the info: card ID 0, title ID 0, companion ID 0, quantity 1, max quantity 0, deck limit 0, art ID 0, blah, blah, blah. And the important parts are at the end with, as I said, the error type, deck weight, too low, and the deck weight was minus 333. Minimum deck weight, 0. So, each card has a weight to it when it comes to Brawl, which is a weird ELO thing. So people immediately started realizing that they could like submit error reports and whatnot and check the error reports or, their log files and whatnot. So they can check their game logs. And so they started doing it. And they started gathering the point system because the internet is always undefeated when it comes to stuff like this. To the point that we now have, as of this moment, and it will probably change, all the points for all the commanders legal in Brawl, historic. And the weight is, the top is obviously, I don't know why Tajik Legion's Edge is there, but, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Nissa, Torbrand, Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, all the usual suspects that you would think. And then, it just goes a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and the number here for the most part, and we'll go down all the way from the zeros. Oops, I'm sorry, there is no zeros. All right, 360 and then 720 is the next, 1080, 1440, 1800. There's step ups and there's point values associated with those step ups. But not only did they do that for the commanders, they also did that for the cards in the 99. Now, Zenith Flare and Tybalt's Trickery are top two. But there's a lot of cards that are 45, and these are usually key components in the 99: removal, board wipes, ramp spells, type of things. And they go from like 45 points to 36, 27, 18, 9, and then 0. And 0 are mainly lands, okay? 0 are lands. This will make sense in a few moments with the invalid deck, because Rolex, remember, Prime Specimen, as a commander, has a weight of, I think, negative 360. I'm going to check live right now. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, Rolex Prime Specimen, negative 360. This is the arena-only card. Negative 360 weight. And you can see other cards on the commander side have negative 360 weight. And then it jumps to 360. The other cards in there that they have enough to make it negative 330. So people realized very quickly that your deck has weight. ELO hell exists. It's a point system, and Wizards accidentally revealed this because of the log issue. And they went to see what happened with their deck. Turns out what the popular opinion is at the moment. First off, this should have never have been discovered. Stuff like this never gets uncovered unless an accident happens. And the popular opinion of everybody, and myself included, this negative 360 number. This negative 360 number was a goof up. Somebody switched all the 0 value commanders to negative 360. And that's what caused everything to go haywire with the Rolex deck not being able to play. Because It didn't meet the minimum threshold requirements of 0. So now what does this mean? After opening up all these things, let's just check real quick to see if we're still recording. Yes, we is. Now, what does this mean for Brawl itself? Obviously, your decks have weight to them. Your commanders have weight to them. There is a pairing system that goes on that tries to match you with the correct weight against the correct weight for a fair game. But the internet is the internet, and they will always be undefeated, as I said before, when it comes to manipulating things like this. And it's something that people have suspected for years about Arena as well. There's manipulations going on that you can take. You can take your hero, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, commander, and basically, I don't know, we'll do Alquist Prof. And it'll probably be easier if I just do this. So Alquist Prof, Master Sleuth, is negative 360 at the moment. Should have been 0. But you can still have the same 99 cards in your Teferi Hero of Dominaria deck. Okay? Which, need I mind you, is an 1,800 point value. Meaning it's a boss amongst bosses. And you can significantly cheese your way into lower weighted decks just by changing the commander. So people have been doing this, and it's apparently been kind of sort of low-key known for a while. I don't play much Brawl. Mind you, also, most of the stuff, I discovered this goof 'em up on YouTube when I was watching Amazonian's video. She's a Brawl content creator. They are awesome, and they come up with many awesome, fun Brawl decks, and they popped this off on a video that went into my feed because I think I'm subscribed to them. I'm pretty sure I am. And I was just like, wait, what? Magic Historian did a little bit of a video on it too. But my take is, I kind of agree that it's not like, it's a pseudo version of an ELO where it's just basically taking your deck's weight and trying to pair you up with a very similar deck weight. But once again, it's easily manipulated. Now, that's for Brawl. What does this mean for Standard? For Historic? For Alchemy? I always have a problem finding Alchemy in my brain because I hate that. I hate those cards in Arena. So yeah, like, what does that mean for the rest of Arena? I think what it means for the rest of Arena is that this weighting might be prevalent throughout every format. Most of the time you won't realize it because most of the time when you're playing Arena, you're going to be playing tier decks. You're going to be playing the top of the line, especially if you're in ranked, or people like me in unranked. But that's the thing, like, I don't know if it's in other formats. It could be in there. It could be in draft, definitely in the limited format, especially if you got like a baller deck. It'll pair you up with other baller decks as well. So basically, Wizards accidentally opened Pandora's box when it comes to the weight of cards on Arena. And there's like 2 cards that were definitely weird in the Arena Brawl. And that's what led to some discussions about, has this always been the case, especially with Standard and whatnot? Zenith Flare is an uncommon from Ikoria that basically deals damage to any target depending on how many cards in your graveyard you have with cycling. It is 216 points. It is the highest weighted non-commander card. Tybalt's Trickery is right behind it at 180. Tybalt's Trickery is not the problem. Tybalt's Trickery isn't the problem because it does get play, and if you're playing that card in your 99, you definitely have to have a little bit more weight added to that. But nobody's playing Zenith Flare in Brawl because you can only have 1 copy. Zenith Flare was a really good card in that Ikoria standard, and even like some Pioneer. Whereas it was a lot of cards, and you didn't need any rares either, by the way. It was a super budget friendly deck. It ran a bunch of cycling cards, and you cycled through, and you drew cards, and you got stuff to pop off with the cards that you drew, and then your finisher was Zenith Flare. So maybe when drafting and standard happened in Ikoria, if you had Zenith Flare, because you could run a very effective Zenith Flare deck with no rares at all. Maybe they punch that number up to put the punching weight, if you will, of that particular deck a little higher than it was. Because if it was just going up against other uncommon and pauper type of decks, like, it was a smash at that time. So thank you to the developers of Magic the Gathering Arena for accidentally spoiling and revealing the weight system, because, as I said, it's a popular opinion and it's not fact. We think a lot of us think somebody messed up on adjusting the weights. So there's that. Arena goof 'em up, which I finally figured out how to fix Arena. I downloaded the Steam client. I literally had to download the Steam client. So I don't think it's an issue on my end. I think it's an issue with their actual program. Because everything else, I'm still running into the issue where the program's still trying to install. But everything else is getting updated. Steam Labs got updated. OBS Studio got updated. Audacity got updated. Even like DaVinci Resolve got updated. And yet, every time I try to do Arena, it doesn't get updated because it's blocked. But yet, when I did the Steam client, boom, like that, immediately I'm playing again. So there's that. Topic number 3, but with a side amendment, because I want to get this out of the way quick. Apparently, Wizards of the Coast may or may not have already alluded to that there is a printing error in Modern Horizons 3. That printing error is double-faced cards having the same artwork on both sides. So and we'll go through them. We'll go through a couple of double-faced cards in this episode here. But what has happened is apparently there's a cycle of modal cards, double-faced cards. One side is a spell, and the other side is a land. You can play either or. You can't play both. And it counts as a spell. If it's in the graveyard, it doesn't count as a land. And when you play it as a land, they usually come into play tapped. But there's the artwork version of the land, and then there's the artwork version of the spell and or creature it could be. This set has a goof 'em up, whereas some of these arts got slipped through that has the same exact art on both sides. So if you know of some stores, if they have the product, they will gladly take the misprint out of your hands and give you one that isn't misprinted. Wizards also has a policy that, if you mail them back the card, they'll mail you back the correct version of the card, or the non-misprinted version of the card. Now, usually misprints and miscuts and whatnot have a separate market for them. There's an actual separate group of Magic the Gathering players that deal nothing but misprints, miscuts, errors in printing and all that, and special unique cards that have been printed. But this is the second time that I can recall since I've gotten back into the game that they've had to address the error. The first one was Corpse Knight. Corpse Knight basically had the wrong toughness printed on it. It's supposed to be a 2/2 creature, but in the first pre-release, in the first run of the set's release, the card actually was printed as a 2/3. And Wizards basically said, nope, this Corpse Knight is a 2/2. People at first thought, ooh, infinite amounts of misprints. There's so many that it just flooded the market. And that's because Wizards told you, yeah, we screwed up. There's a lot of these floating around. Much like a lot of the modal dual lands are going to be floating around that are misprinted as well. So stem your excitement if you open one of these up, because Wizards has already commented on it. So the misprint market for those particular type of dual face cards with the same artwork on them might not be as much as you may think. Now, if it's miscut, have at it. Like you almost won the golden ticket lottery there with some of those. I've I think I've opened up, and this surprises my shit luck. I've opened up maybe 3 almost misprint cards in my since getting back into the game, and I've opened a lot of cards, and I've bought a lot of cards, and I've bought some collections and whatnot. I've only opened up 3, if I'm lucky, misprint cards. One of them was in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but it was like a smeared ink, so it's not even worth like the misprint. I think I have almost miscut card, and yeah, that's it. That's all I've opened. So that's how kind of, to be fair, there's a lot of them out there, but when you open up millions of cards, the laws of statistics and probability will always say some are going to get through. Now, the fact that they have to say that this is an issue means way more got through than should have been allowed. Great Q&A, quality control. That's what happens when you print thousands of cards for each set every couple of weeks. That being said, okay, there we go. Yeah, it's allergy seasons, I know. Okay. Speaking of modal face cards, here we go. Boom. Rush of Inspiration. Now, there's a full cycle of 10 of these. I'm only highlighting 3 because I think these are the 3 that are going to be played in either Commander, Modern, or whatever format that this will be legal in, but mainly Modern because, your Vintage and Pioneer decks are not going to be playing these cards. Rush of Inspiration, 1 and 2 hybrid mana of Izzet. You can either pay a blue or a red in combination. To draw 2 cards, then discard a card at random unless you pay 2 energy, which is a thing. Energy's getting some love in this set. You could play it as an instant, or you can play it as Crackling Falls. It enters the battlefield tapped and taps for a blue or a red. Then we have Strength of the Harvest, 2 and a hybrid Selesnya, so it's 2 and either a white or a green for an enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each creature and or enchantment you control. Enchantment decks can cook. Definitely. And it's mainly like, I know it was in Pauper until all that glitters was banned, but that was a good ban. But still, that deck can cook. This could be the replacement for all that glitters. It's almost in the same color combinations, and it's probably why all that glitters did get banned. No. Never mind. It's uncommon. I'm an idiot. But in Modern, if you're playing enchantments, this could cook. This could go, and it also. And it can also be played for, on the opposite side, Haven of the Harvest enters the battlefield tapped, add green or a white. And to allude earlier, imagine Strength of the Harvest having this particular printing, on both sides of the card. So you can see why it's going to be confusing a little bit. And then Stomp. For 1 and a hybrid green-red, sorcery, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Yes. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. And then that can turn into a green, where you can play it as a green or red come into play tap land. Why this one, I feel? At most, this one would be a one of. Because it's easy to slot in this as a land. Especially in Gruul decks that have big creatures. Having this as a one of, I can foresee. Yes, it's sorcery speed, so it is what it is. But you have the ability to take out powerful planeswalkers and even like Eldrazi. Remember, there's a lot of Eldrazi coming in the set, and those bad boys have some big butts. So if you're playing a big butt Eldrazi, you can definitely take out any creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. But that is the modal face cards that I feel are going to see play in some sort, in some fashion, if you will. Now the rest of the cards. Nope. Oops, that's the next topic. I had these. Oh, yeah. Here we go. All right. The flare set, there's one for each color. It's a free spell if you meet the requirements for it. I think the two that are going to get played the most, Flare of Denial, 1 and 2 blue. For an instant, you may sacrifice a non-token blue creature spell that, rather than pay the spell's mana cost, counter target spell. This goes in with Force of Negations. This goes in with Force of Wills. This goes with Deflecting Swat. This goes in with all the free counter spells that blue does get. But it's got to be a non-token blue creature. But it's still going to see some play. Once again, I'm highlighting this card. It's every non-basic land type. You can add a colorless to your mana pool, or tap 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. This card is still ridiculously expensive. Not Ugin's expensive, but it's getting up there. It's definitely going to be a prized card, especially in Commander, because that's where Planar Nexus is. It's in the Commander decks, and I think if you're lucky, you can open it in a collector's booster. So that's why it's going to be pricey. You can only get it in the Commander decks. Is it Generatorium for a blue and a red for an artifact? If you would get 1 or more energy counters, you get that many +1 instead. So if you get 1 energy counter, you're getting 1 + 1 = 2. If you're getting 3 energy counters, you're getting 3 + 1 = 4. You can tap to draw a card, activate only if you've paid or lost 4 or more energy this turn. I said it before, energy's getting some love. I know the Science deck in Commander for Fallout Legends does have an energy sub-theme that most people abandon because it's not valued. It's not supported well. And even if getting the best cards in energy at the moment into that deck, it's still not going to be good. I think cards like this are going to push energy, maybe even it back into Modern, maybe. I doubt it, but they're trying. But it's definitely going to get some play in Commander. All right, that was Force. That was that. Okay. We have Grist Vorcarious Larva for green mana for a legendary creature insect, a 1/2. It's got Death Touch. When Grist of Vorcarious Larva or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay a green. If you do, exile Grist, then return it to the battlefield, transform under its owner's control into Grist the Plague Swarm. This is Grist's origin story. It's a legendary planeswalker with 3 loyalty, +1, create a 1/1 black-green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards. Put a death touch counter on the token if a black card was milled this way. For -2, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and for -6, for each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. It's pretty good. It wants to find a home in my old Rutstein deck for Commander. I can't even lie. No Elemental Blast for 1 generic mana or wastes. For an instant, choose 1. Counter target multicolored spell. Destroy target multicolored permanent. This card's already pre-selling for $8. And it's uncommon. $8 for this card at the moment. And it's an uncommon. The Elemental Blasts. There's been blue and red Elemental Blast. And I forgot, I don't even remember if white, green, and black have them, to be honest. But this one targets multicolored spells and multicolored permanents. Now, that being said, because of that mana symbol right there, it can't be generic. You can't just tap a green and say, okay, I'm floating a green mana and paying for an all Elemental Blast. The land that you tap has to make that symbol to cast it. So it is kind of restricted, but also not, because there's a lot of lands, especially in this set and in the last few, that will tap for colorless wastes. And I can confirm with beyond a shadow of a doubt, Emerald Medallion, the Medallion cycle is in Modern Horizons 3 for some reason. a valued reprint. I thought it would be a bonus sheet type of thing, or in the commander decks, which haven't been really revealed yet for the most part. But the Emerald Medallion is in there. All the medallions are in there, which is okay. I mean, they needed reprints, but as I said last week, medallions are only being played mostly in Commander. And finally, the white Flare of Fortitude. I think this one's going to see play too. You may sacrifice a non-token white creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Until end of turn, your life total can't change, and permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. This is basically Teferi's Protection 5, 6, 7, and 8 if you play those. Or in Commander, it's your fourth version of this card. But now you can cast it for free. So getting a pseudo Teferi's Protection for free is actually not that bad, if you ask me. And then what I spoiled earlier about the Modern Horizons cards, Commanders. I have it in the folder that says EDH. I can confirm that these are the Commanders in the Commander decks. Each Commander deck has 2 Commanders that you could do. The main, the cover artist, if you will, and then if you don't like what the main commander is doing, they do have a backup commander in there that you can try that out with. And it will play a different style of synergy, or a similar but different take on the synergy that the deck has. I'm 1,000% not sure which one is the boxed commander and which one is the backup. But we have Uma, Queen of Vesuva, for 2 and a hybrid green-blue. For a Shapeshifter Noble 1, and it's a 1/5. Whenever Uma, Queen of Vesuva, enters the battlefield or attacks, put an everything counter on each of up to 1 target land and up to 1 target creature. Each land with an everything counter on it is every land type in its addition to its other land types. Each non-land creature with an everything counter on it is every creature type. That's some stuff. Shapeshifters, you can make shapeshifters out of every creature you control and make every basic land type with every basic land that you control. Disa the Restless for 2 black, red, and a green for a Human Scout 5/6. When a Lurgoyf permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, put it onto the battlefield. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. So we're making Tarmogoyf tokens with this commander. And the Lurgoyfs there's only a handful of them right now, but Modern Horizons 3 has at least 4 to 5 more. And the commander deck that this is going into probably has a couple more Lurgoyfs in it. I can see this being fun. A fun little commander to play. Joetai Moag Ancient for 2 and green and a blue, the Simic deck. When the Ancient enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green forest dryad land creature token for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. At the beginning of each combat, land creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is Joeto's power. I have a feeling this could be the one that's in the box. Maybe. I don't know, but I would actually like to play with this as a commander because Forest Dryads are awesome, and they're 1/1 and they tap for green. But they're a land. Koram the Undertaker. Dong. 1 black, red, and a green for a Human Warrior 05. Koram the Undertaker gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards. When Koram attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell from among cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. Interesting. I see this as like a commander winning by commander damage. Because you can pump it up, mill your opponents, put some Trampopolis on there, do some broken things, like you can do with every commander. Kayeth Famed Mechanist for 1 blue, red, and a white. For a Dwarf Artificer, a 3/3. Fabricate 1. You can either make this a 4/4 or put a 1/1 Thopter on the field. Other non-token creatures you control have Fabricate 1. 2 and tap it, choose one, Populate or Proliferate. Proliferate, give a counter. If for everything that has a counter, give it one more counter on the field. You choose. Populate is make a creature token, a copy of a creature token. So I like where this one's going because I just made a Kaikar deck and yeah. The other one or the main, Styata Aetherflux Genius, 1 blue, red, and white. For a human artificer, 3/5 with Menace, and haste. Whenever Styata Aetherflux Genius attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to one other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay amount of energy equal to its mana value. So you make a tapped and attacking token whenever this attacks. That's a copy of up to one other target non-token creature you control. So that's cool. And you get 2 energy. And as I said, energy is getting some love. And this just shows it right here. Getting some more love. I've already previewed Ulek, the Fused Atrocity. This is, I know for a fact, the face commander for the Eldrazi commander deck, and I want it, but it's the most expensive one out of them all by triple at this point on some of the variants. It's a 2/5 for Devoid, meaning this creature has no color. We will get into its mana cost in a bit. Whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2 waste and/or generic mana. If you do, copy all other spells you control, then copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for the copies. Mana abilities can't be copied. I said before and I said it again, I'm going to love to get decimated by this card because I want to see what this card does, and I want to see the hurting this card can put on me because Ulek, the Fused Atrocity, seems like a really fun commander to play as. You can either pay 5 waste mana or Wooburg in any combination. So if you have, you know, white, if you have Esper, white, blue, and black mana available, but don't have the red and green, that's okay. You can just tap the 3 colored and the 2 generic mana. And remember, that symbol has to be generic. It has to say it on the card. Can either tap for that symbol or one with a circle on it for older cards, or a tap for any mana. As I said, I'm in love with this card just because of the silly shit that you can do with it. And then the other card in the Eldrazi that can be your commander is Azlask, the Swelling Scourge for 3 mana for a 2/2. Whenever Azlac, the Swelling Scourge, or another colorless creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. Ooh. For Wooburg, creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Scions and Spawns you control gain Indestructible and Annihilator 1 until end of turn. I do not like that. Stop. This card had me up until the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 6 words. Annihilator 1. If you don't know what Annihilator 1 is, say the 1/1 creature you have has Annihilator 1. When it attacks, before blocks or anything can happen, once it's tapped and attacking, you have to sacrifice a permanent. Yeah. Fuck Annihilator. I do not like Annihilator at all. But that is it with the Modern Horizons 3 previews right now. I can't even talk about the commander decks because the commander decks aren't even revealed yet. And mostly, I know the face commanders and the backup commanders have been revealed, and some of the other cards, but I'm just waiting to see what the 100% deck list should be, and that should be at the end of this month, which is in 3 days. 2 days at when you see this, folks. And in my notes, the pre-release is June 7th, and Modern Horizon 3 releases on June 14th. That is it for me. I'm going to get back to making this Garth One-Eye dice rolling venture into dungeon deck, and I have to look through a lot of cards now. just gonna suck. Not even this pile that I alluded to earlier, ladies and gentlemen. There's a couple cards that I know I have that I put in my 3 big, huge boxes of bulk. That is sorted by color, but nothing else. Not by set, not by alphabet, not by anything. So that being said, that is the end of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to me ramble for as long as it's been. I know for this particular segment, it's been 27 minutes. So yeah, my name's been Dom Douglas, the back-to-back XWW Commentator of the Year, and may your top deck always be mythic and not